We've got a great guest coming up who, oddly, we spoke to somebody who witnessed a previous endeavour by this man who believes he's an adventurer, daredevil, amateur scientist, but he believes the Earth is flat. Okay? Back in March... You've taken that very well, Jordan.
Oh, yeah. I'm
March,
trying to just absorb that.
Back in March, he launched himself, March the year before last, launched himself into space and went up about 2,000 feet and came down with an almighty thwack. He survived, though, okay? Yesterday, and I hope he survived because I'm talking to him in about 10 minutes' time, his name's Mad Mike Hughes, American, of course.
Obviously.
And he launched himself up, he was going for 5,000 feet this time because he thinks if he gets up far enough, he can take a good look and say, look, it's not round, it's just flat. It's not round at all. So only in America.
Wow.
The flat earthers we're talking to.
The flat
and far more seriously, we are crossing live to Hong Kong because they've... So he's...
Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. He's having dinner right now in California in a Spencer restaurant.
And he is, we should say, lucky to be alive. Did he tell you why he did it? Does he actually believe the Earth is flat then, Manny, do you think? Does he believe the world's shaped like a Frisbee?
We were talking about that, Mike. Well, what do you prove? Well, the only thing I prove is that the Earth is really hard.
Well, he sounds like a real character, and he's with us now. The man who was an eyewitness then said you'd only see it once in a lifetime. Well, I understand there were plans to launch another rocket, or Mad Mike Hughes had plans to launch another rocket yesterday. That's now been postponed, but we can speak to the man himself, amateur rocketeer and hero, Mike Hughes joins us. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to Talk Radio here in the UK, sir.
Great. How are you doing? Thanks for your time.
Very well indeed. Now, what are you planning to do this time around? What's your next mission?
Well, actually, we're going to do another vertical launch, and we're hoping to reach 1 mile altitude. And this is being filmed for another documentary. The documentary about my life came out today.
Yeah.
On realrocketman.com. It's on 4 different platforms. And they were filming a TV show called Homemade Astronauts. And they were there filming today, and it looks like we're going to go tomorrow by 10 or 10:15. What it looks like.
Okay, so how will that actually work? How long will you be up there for? Will you be on the rocket or in the rocket?
Well, there's a couple of GoPros, one on the back and one inside, and there is actually 2 on the ramp. And this is being filmed by some other documentary filmmakers, and of course the Wow Productions, which is doing it for Science Channel, which is where the show will be on.
So does that mean you'll be going up in the rocket yourself, or is it simply a rocket launch we're doing this time, Mike?
Oh, no, I'm in it. I'm in this thing.
Are you sure about this, Mike? You know, Mike, are you sure about this? Because last time, as we heard from Manny Lopez, you came down with a bit of a bump, big fella.
Yeah, a week and a half later, I found out I had a crushed L2 vertebrae. I finally went to the doctor. And, well, you know, I thought I did something that day because I'd never put my back bend like that before. That's the 3rd time I've broken my back. So, yeah, it's no day at the beach, okay?
And what precautions, if any, have you taken to make it a softer landing this time? I mean, a mile is a long way to fall, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll drink more before. I don't know. I'll think of something.
And why are you doing this, Mike? I mean, we've had lots of speculation in the press over here that you're doing it to prove, maybe to investigate whether, in fact, the Earth is flat. Is that part of this?
Well, you know, these flights here are not to try to prove that the Earth is flat. It's basically just to raise awareness for my space program.
Right.
We are planning to put me up to the Kármán line, which is the recognized edge of space. We began building the vehicle. In fact, some of it was on display today at the launch site. But I see me being up there within a year, and I think it's going to be the most watched event in mankind history.
And how are you funding this, Mike? Where's the money coming from for your space program, your one-man space program?
Actually, just kind of not being funded yet. We're looking for that. We think this launch year is going to bring in the sponsor to make that happen.
And are you worried at all about your own personal physical safety? You must be to an extent. I mean, if you've broken your back 3 times.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a big difference between a daredevil and a stunt man. You know, I'm one of these guys that, you know, I'm a nuts and bolts guy, and I'm a very simple guy. And I try to figure things out myself, and I got some good help, and just do things, you know, to inspire people. Just, you know, take a chance. You know, don't sit at home and live your life through some soccer player or baseball player. You know, run and make your own waves.
And where do you launch the rocket from? Have you got a specially built launch pad, or how do you actually get the thing up in the air?
Well, this time we're launching from the back of a diesel that a friend of mine, he's driving, I'm with him right now. he gave me, and we turned it into a rocket launcher. Last time I launched from a motorhome, converted. So, which is pretty goofy because no one's ever launched a man from a rocket from a mobile platform before.
No. And where do you get the parts for your rockets from? Where are you sourcing your material to build these rockets, Mike?
Most of the stuff is just handmade. Just handmade.
So what is it that drives you on? What's making you do this and not try and get involved, say, in a more orthodox space program, or work with people who've got, I don't know, maybe resources or facilities to launch more mainstream rockets?
Yeah, well, I think people think that only these billionaires can attempt to go to space, and I'm trying to prove all that wrong. I'm trying to embarrass all these billionaires like Elon Musk and Branson and that Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos. No, I think I've launched more men than Elon Musk has in a rocket.
And can you tell us, please, about the Raccoon? I understand that you and a friend at Waldo Stakes are hoping to build a kind of, I think I might say it's a kind
Waldo's design.
Is it a cross between a rocket and a balloon? How would that work?
Yes. The balloon will take me up about 22 miles, and we'll cut it loose. I'll fire the rocket, and it will pull me up the other 40-something miles to the Kármán line. It'll take about, 20-something seconds, and I will fall at 2,000 miles an hour after that, after I reach apogee.
And presumably you'll need some kind of spacesuit from that. Will that be homemade as well then, Mike?
No, actually, there's a bunch of those for sale. It's called a U2 suit. Not from the band, but there used to be a project called U2 here in the United States. And there's a bunch of them for sale. I think they're about $40,000 each, and that's what we're going to do.
So when you're actually gearing up for this, astronauts back in the day, and still, the guys on the space station, are very fit indeed. I've seen photographs of you, and, you're a fit-looking individual, but you're not the youngest-looking astronaut I've ever seen, Mike. So how do you get yourself ready for this physically?
I don't drink as much the week of a launch. As
much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you normally drink, and what do you cut it back to?
Basically, I really watch my diet. I drink a ton of water and get the proper amount of sleep, and I don't, I've never smoked. I've been kind of a health nut now for about 50 years. So basically, I just kind of taking care of myself. I've already outlived both my parents, and my younger brother's in really bad shape. I can't believe he's lived as long as he has. So, I'm kind of defying the odds right now.
And what's the plan for coming back down? I think the last time you landed, as Manny told us, you landed via a parachute that was attached to the rocket. How will you come back down to Earth this time, do you hope, Mike?
Yeah, same way. I'll come down with initially a 900-pound chute, and then after 3 seconds I will fire a chute that will carry 500 pounds, and that should be enough to bring me down. If one of those does not fire, then I've got 2 backup chutes that fire simultaneously by hand, and they're enough to pull down 1,500 pounds.
Where does your expertise in building these things come from? What's your background, Mike?
Basically, I was just a fabricator. I was a professional motorcycle racer, and I was a NASCAR fabricator, and I studied aerodynamics and wings and how air moves around things, and I just kind of took that and started building rockets and just live and learn. The problem is that the learning curve with launching rockets is pretty steep.
Now, you've had, a huge amount of publicity. You mentioned your Real Rocket documentary, which is available from today. How do people react when you tell them what you do? When you tell them you do what you do, that you're a kind of one-man rocketeer and you've got your own space program?
Yeah, most of the people's already kind of Googled me or they've heard about me and they kind of done some research. So most people, I think, know that I've already, launched myself a couple of times, and I still get. The whole flat Earth thing does kind of freak people out, but, that's what I believe. I can't disprove it. But, my new sponsor is a dating app found in New Zealand called HUD, H-U-D.
Right.
So it's kind of a hookup app.
Okay.
I don't know what we're hooking up with, but...
Because I can see on the side of the rocket ship I'm looking at, it's got hudapp.com. How long have you been convinced the Earth is flat, Mike?
Oh, at least 3 years. I'm like everyone else. My journey started way before thinking about the flat Earth, and then And then one day that pops up, you start researching, you go, holy cow, there's no way. And then the more you research, some people it takes them 5 minutes, some people 5 years, some people, it's like me, it took me 4 or 5 months. I said, no, I can't disprove this.
And might there come a time then when you are able, do you think, to mount a mission that will prove it one way or the other? You're convinced the Earth is flat, but how would that actually work, though, given that we've had spacecraft up there and we've seen photographs of the round Earth?
Yeah, well, none of this stuff I think is live, and all the thing they got to do is take a video camera or some kind of recording instrument and turn it the opposite way of the Hubble, which is supposed to be up there, and do a 24/7 podcast of the Earth with it spinning and on the axis. That's another thing. There is not a picture of this Earth from space on an axis, which is supposed to be 23.4 degrees. Now, if you study how a gyroscope works, a gyroscope, when it's spinning, will either, if it's sideways, will either straighten up or fall down. It never stays sideways. So that's one of the proofs for me. And there's no way the sun 93 million miles away. It's probably around 3,000 miles.
Okay, so eventually then we're going to be able to get to the sun much quicker than we think if it's not 93 million miles away. You were meant to launch, I think, Sunday American time. So are you hoping to launch later on today your time, Mike, on Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Actually, it's Sunday night right now. It's 8:30, 8:41 my time. So I'm going to be home, hopefully be in bed by midnight. I'm going to leave at 6 in the morning and head back down to the launch site.
Well, maybe we can touch base with you again tomorrow or the day after when you're back down to Earth, please God, safely. Would that be okay, Mike?
Oh, yeah, give me a couple of days, okay? In fact, TMZ wants this first thing in the morning.
Okay. TMZ, the news website.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a goofy deal, but, I mean, it's, no, all press is good press to me.
Mike, you've been a fascinating guest. I hope you stay safe, seriously. I hope we get to talk in a day or so when you've actually completed your most recent launch. The man you heard there was Mike Hughes, known as Mad Mike Hughes for, well, courage reasons, I suppose, because he doesn't seems to be a man without fear. Okay. Coming up on the program.